Hello, friends, and welcome to Monday's edition of the Kings of Anglia podcast. I hope you had a great weekend. Unfortunately, of course, if there were indeed any faint lingering hopes of Town getting into that top six, I'm afraid they were extinguished at Shrewsbury this weekend. Looked like Town, Hutchie, you'll like this, looked like Town were going to tame the Shrews. We've never used that before, but unfortunately, they had a sting in their tail. I'm not sure that's anatomically correct. They probably had more of a bite in their tail. Again, that's not really right, but it was a great goal from Sean, Wally, whatever. Brilliant strike, and it ended 1-1. I'm Mark Heath. I'm your host. With me, just two Kings today. Stuart Watson taking a little break after that long trip to Shrewsbury, and Mike Bacon still haggling over his appearance fee. So he won't be around maybe now until Thursday. Hope we can get that cleared up in time. I'm going to start today with Roscoe, the boy Ross, the beard, the prodigy, the hairy one. The new format for game day, Ross. You've decided, listen, I only host 14 podcasts. I'm only on video 75 times a week. I need to be in front of camera on game day. So yeah, and you duly are, and I enjoyed it. Although I also did enjoy our old friends Mark and Mike kicking you off screen, saying leave it to professionals. How are you? How's things? Bring us up to speed.
I'm very well. Of course, I didn't ask you about the new format. I just did it, and then I was just waiting to see your response, and it seems you liked it. So
I like it.
There we go.
More
of me, apparently.
More Ross. That's what we need. You were just telling us though you had a little mishap on the road back from Shrewsbury. A classic Ross situation. So was it a 4.5 hour trip back from Shrewsbury? You return to Ross Towers, halls, and realise you can't get in.
Yeah, a big shout out to Liam from Crew who picked me up at our offices in Ipswich about 11 o'clock, something like that. So props to him for coming out of his house when he didn't need to, really, but he's a good mate. And he picked me up, took me home, we have a nice little chinwag. I get to my front door and I go, something's missing here, my keys. So I had to go to Liam and said, got to go back to my office because the keys are in the pool car. I text Andy just to make sure, where they are. And I just saw his message just saying mate, and I just know what that response is because. But yeah, standard Ross thing. Props to Liam though for being a proper soldier and to drive me back to the office and get the keys. And I got home safe and sound in the end.
Liam deserves a knighthood. So he's come out on his Saturday night. He's picked you up. You've been driven all the way back from Shrewsbury. Someone else has then come out to pick you up, take you home, and then you've gone, oh, mate, sorry, no. I know you want to go home and go to bed, but I've left my keys. You need to take me back into Ipswich and then bring me back again now. He's a saint, the lad.
Yes.
Absolutely. Someone else who's a saint, obviously, and also was in the best seat in the house at Shrewsbury at the weekend with your partner in crime, the Dr. Stuart Watson, Andy Hutch Hogan Warren. Can you confirm, first of all, Hutchie, were those the best seats in the house at Shrewsbury?
They're very good seats, right on halfway. Those are the kind of racing car seats that will be installed in Town's dugouts at the end of the summer. They are very, very comfy. Mostly, you find them in a dugout, and you get in a lot of trouble if you're not designated as one of the people that's trusted to sit in one of them. But we just did it anyway, and they're very, very comfortable. So that should keep managers sat down during games rather than up and jumping about.
For those of you who've not seen, the boys did their post-game video from the best seats in the house at Shrewsbury, which that's something that fans can buy, is it, in terms of sitting in? Or
I don't know. I don't know how they designate them. It might be competition, might be like community sort of given away to people who have done great things in the community. I don't know. There are multiple ways of getting into those seats, though.
And I assume it was Roscoe. Took a great picture of you two sitting there. It looked to me, Hutchie, like an album cover. The Doctor and the Hutch, and you could call it Best Seats in the House. That would work as an album for me. Some kind of Scandi rock, eclectic hip hop fusion, something like that. What do you reckon, Hutchie?
Yeah, we're musically talented. I'm sure.
Of course
we
are.
Can both. We've never really talked about starting a band. It's not come up, but we could.
There's not much more to talk about for the rest of the season, so maybe we should go on to that. Rossi's got contacts all over the music business, so something to look forward to. Friends, let's digress no more. It's tremendous to have you both here, and let's talk about Shrewsbury then. As I said, Hutchie, the first of the final five. We knew going into the game it was pretty much impossible for Town to get into the playoffs. They certainly needed to win this one. and it looked for all the world like they were going to, until they didn't. Your thoughts?
I'm really sorry, mate. I've not got anything to. I've not got anything to say.
Thanks for joining us. We'll be back on Thursday.
I don't know. It felt, we turned up at the ground and it felt like a sort of end of season game. This was still the fifth one out from the end. They're safe. Ipswich weren't making the playoffs, and you got to the ground and it didn't feel like there was an awful lot on the game. But Ipswich I'd say they were the better side. Certainly in the first half, they had lots of the ball, moved it around, scored a really nice goal. But as we've so often discussed, there was no second goal. And then once again, you leave yourself vulnerable to silly things happening, and they certainly did happen in the final sort of 20 minutes or so. And come away with a draw that highlights a few deficiencies, I think.
Did it feel like that last day of school? You know, when you were allowed to take like games in, and in my day it was watch VHS videos, Rossi. I assume when you were at school it was watch DVDs, because you're a little bit younger. Did it have that?
They used to wheel in those TVs, or the TVs on wheels, and the video recorder was locked in like a little metal case, and you had to unlock in case some kid pinched the video player. Yeah, and then
that was classic, wasn't it? That was a classic end of term day, and also substitute teacher day when your teacher's ill, so you get a substitute and they just wheel in the video and play you a video about ancient art in Rome or something. I remember one time one of my mates had one of them watchers which could control the VHS. So he was stopping and fast forwarding and ejecting the video, and the substitute teacher had no idea. At the time, we thought it was hilarious. Obviously, now being a bit older and maybe putting myself in said substitute teacher's shoes, I can appreciate that would be incredibly annoying.
Some substitute teachers bring it on themselves, though. This is digressing, and I make no apology for it. I've got But yeah, we had one substitute teacher who just had no control whatsoever. Like there was one day where a kid brought in a note saying that he had to be excused from RE because he was ill, and it wrote on the note, which he'd clearly written himself, it just said Rodney is ill, and then it said signed, and then he'd written on there, he just wrote Rodney's mum. That was it. That was the note, and she was like, "Yeah, fine. So hope you get better soon. Off you go, Rodney." And he went home for the afternoon. And yes, I did go to a school with a kid called Rodney.
That is absolutely fantastic. Any other school memories while we're here before we get back?
Mate, I've got loads. Sorry. Let's get back to the football.
That's fine. Did you ever get hit by teachers? Again, I'm going back a few years now. When I was first at school, we had a teacher who used to throw board rubbers at you. So again, do you remember blackboards? I assume you've never heard of these things, Rossi, but they used to have blackboards we used to write on with chalk. And if this teacher thought you weren't listening, he used to throw the blackboard rubber at you. And also, if you were acting up, he used to hit you with a ruler, which again is probably now illegal.
Probably.
And may explain some of my various mental scars.
We had the exact same things with board rubbers, mate. Exactly the same. Maths teacher, Mr. Yip, just chucked a board rubber. Yeah, never got hit though, either by the rubber or by anything else. But yeah, if you weren't doing your equations properly.
Exactly. Bang. Serious business. Rossi, did you ever get physically assaulted by a teacher?
No. Thankfully, I did do the other way around.
Look how you've turned out. Maybe you should have been.
Maybe. Yeah.
You had the what? You had the opposite.
Yeah, I hit a teacher. That's what I did instead. Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
No, dear.
You hit your teacher?
Yeah, I was an angry 14-year-old. I had a bad temper back then. A bad temper, but I've cooled since then. So
I can't imagine Rossi with a bad temper. This, of course, was at the same time you were banging goals in for fun.
I just wanted to play football. I didn't care about maths and ancient history.
You hit a teacher. Unbelievable.
What happens when you hit a
teacher? I wasn't. They were too tall for me. But like, I'll probably hit him in the leg. I've got his name now, but I was just angry.
Let's not mention the teacher's name. But yeah. What happened?
You mentioned Mr. Yip.
What happened?
I didn't hit him though.
What happened?
I was just angry. I was just not really happy with what was going on. I always got sent out classes and stuff because I was just naughty and I just wasn't happy for this one occasion. And I was just like, hitting him in the leg.
Just punched him in the leg.
Yeah.
There you go.
What happens when you do that? What happens next for young Ross when that happens?
Excluded, and not to see a light of day at school for a few weeks.
You didn't see the light of day. Wow, that's
they put you in a box.
Drastic.
That's what they do at Chowry. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, well, we've digressed big time there, boys, onto physical assault, both for and against teachers. Shall we talk about something which was potentially a little bit of a physical assault on the pitch at Shrewsbury? See that segue. God, I'm a professional. Cameron Burgess getting sent off. That precipitated Shrewsbury getting back in the game, and it didn't look like they'd be able to do that. Hutchie, Cameron Burgess getting himself sent off. Your thoughts, please.
He had to get a second yellow card for that. He didn't really make contact with the goalkeeper, but that's not the issue really. It's studs up, kind of launched in from a fair way away. Is always going to bring a second yellow card. His first yellow card, I've watched it back this morning. It was maybe a bit softer than I'd initially thought, sort of seeing it live, but he kind of got himself in a situation we've seen Burgess get in on a few occasions, which is if he gets sort of caught pushing up to take a striker and then gets rolled, he finds it hard to get back. And there was the slightest of little tugs on Ryan Bowman, and he's gone down very easily. But again, it's kind of the referees in the he's given him the decision to make. So it's probably two fair yellow cards, and ultimately that is what gave Shrewsbury the encouragement to go and search an equaliser that it looked like they were never going to get. Really, that was their only shot on target. I think went in. But again, 10 men, 1 goal lead. You've left yourself vulnerable to that, and then Sean Whalley has done the business.
Yeah, I mean, that goal was, you don't stop those, do you? That's you can't really legislate for a goal of that quality, but clearly only having 10 men on the pitch, you should be able to avoid. What did you make of the Burgess thing, Rossi? When I saw the picture, because we got some great pictures that Warren took of him sort of kind of steaming in, studs up, and you think, yeah, definite red. And then you actually watch the incident, and he doesn't touch the keeper really, and you could argue that maybe it's the reaction of the Shrewsbury players that end up getting him sent off. I thought it was soft, and I appreciate what people say, that's got to be a yellow card, and that's the state of football. But I thought that was really soft. But clearly, he's given the referee a decision to make, and he's since apologised. What did you make of the Burgess sending off?
I was more worried that why is Cameron Burgess in their box? But of course, then watching it back, he just intercepted a ball and then he just carried on running because he's just, why not? First, because I didn't see, my angle was very different. I had a player in my way, so I couldn't really see if he did have his studs up or he did have contact. But since watching it back, it was very soft. But unfortunately, he's already on a yellow card and the referee's probably gone, that's a bit of a dangerous tackle he's gone in there. It changed the game completely. But we're seeing this a lot. It's a lot of soft, tackles that are not really tackles, are they? Just, they're just going trying to win the ball. But yeah, I feel sorry for Cameron Burgess really because, he's come out and apologised to the fans and it did change the game and he's been pretty solid since coming in for Edmondson. Unfortunately, I think if he wasn't on a yellow, maybe the referee would have, given another yellow card and he would have been sent off. That's how you get sent off. But but yeah, of course, his first yellow was basically tugging back Ryan Bowman, wasn't he? Which is unfortunately what Cameron Burgess has to do when an attacker is about to go in on goal. But it's a very soft yellow, but it changed the game completely.
I don't think he needs to be coming out and giving public apologies on Twitter, though. I think he's done what he thought he needed to do, which was charge down the goalkeeper's long kick forward. And yeah, I'm not sure these always need sort of a public apology on social media. It's just not. I don't think it's necessary. It's part of the game. He's made a mistake. He's been really good since he's come into the team, and sadly, he's going to miss a game. But yeah, I'm not sure those kind of apologies are necessarily needed.
It's different, isn't it? If he catches the keeper and snaps his neck in two, then by all means apologise. But at the end of the day, he's had a small rush of blood to the head. He's got it slightly wrong. He's given the referee a decision to make, and it's gone against him. So they're going to be without Burgess. How many is that now for
just one?
Just one game. So the game at Rotherham this weekend. Hutchie, we've spoken many times on this particular show. You alluded to it at the start. This is a tale that's a familiar tale for Town fans, going back years, really. This kind of lack of ability to finish teams off when they're on top and end up then losing points. I think Stewie's put in his thing that it's 19 points they've dropped this season from winning positions. Of all the things that Kieran McKenna has changed and brought in, why are we still getting this issue, do you think, at Town? Is there a soft underbelly?
No. I don't think there is a soft underbelly. If I'm honest, the underbelly of the Ipswich Town team is pretty strong. I would say in terms of Walton defence, Morsey in midfield. I thought Backingson played well at the weekend. They had some chances in this one. They didn't. Connor Chaplin missed one in the first half. The closest they came was Luke Leahy of Shrewsbury deciding to kind of try and volley the ball past his own goalkeeper following a cross into the box. But I don't know. I don't know. On this, there was a long spell at the start of the second half where absolutely nothing happened. Ipswich had plenty of the ball, were never in any danger whatsoever, but didn't seem to cause an awful lot either. It is hard. It's hard to put a finger on because Norwood scored a really good goal. He's had another sort of nice opening where he's chested the ball down, but just got crowded out. But this was another game where they didn't get Wes Burns going particularly. I didn't think he certainly contributed positively to the team, but I don't think they got him going enough down the right, and that's because Shrewsbury try and look after Burns like so many opposition teams do at the moment. But it's hard to put a finger on it. I'm not sure the two number 10s were offered enough sort of on the edge of the box. They're both really, it was Chaplin and Aluko this time, both really good on the ball. They keep the ball nicely and work hard, both of them. But it's not operating in the real dangerous areas, it feels.
Should we talk about the team, Hutchie? Clearly, a lot of the team now we can pretty much predict. But ahead of the game, we did the boot room on Friday where I always try and predict your lineup. And I was pretty close. I must say, I was pretty close. But you said I had Thompson on the left, and you said, "Do you know what? I'm going to put Penny in." And who would have thought it? That's exactly what happened. What did you make of Matt Penny? Because we've not seen him for a little while. Obviously, Thompson's been in that position a lot. Did he further his cause with his performance?
It was a reminder of what we've seen from Matt Penny. For me, he's at his best when he's kind of on the front foot, crossing. I think he's a really good crosser of the ball. Actually, he puts in some really good crosses, which he did. And there was one in particular early on that nearly came to something. Had a few more of those during the game. He defended okay, well enough. I wouldn't say loads went down the Ipswich right, but he has some moments where he just loses the ball in silly situations. I'm not sure he's particularly pushed his cause in this one, but I'd like to see some more of him because there's definitely a player in there. I think this is his first start since January, so it's a bit unfair to sort of judge him on that. But I'd like to see a bit more of him and more from him as well.
Let's talk other things then about the game, positive wise. Rossi, what did you like? We saw Norwood start again and score a really good goal. Give us some positives, things you liked.
I liked the fast start. To be fair, as we mentioned, Connor Chaplin basically had a chance he should have scored. Basically a point blank header to the goalie, and then of course Norwood scored pretty sharpish after that. So we're 1-0 up early doors, and I thought, okay, we could be having the hammering that we wanted under McKenna. Unfortunately, I think the Lino situation, I think sort of killed the momentum of this game. I'm sure you're going to get into that later, but I was very pleased with the first half performance. Definitely when it's a dead rubber game, and if there's nothing to lose in this sort of game, and I thought a very good start, and I was pleased to see Norwood on the score sheet. He hadn't scored for a while. and a headed goal as well. Someone scoring a header, which is nice to see. So, pretty happy with the first half performance.
That was a lovely little finish from Norwood, wasn't it? A nice ball from JD as well. Hutchie, the lineman thing was bizarre, wasn't it? Killing all momentum. Clearly, you hadn't taken your referee's kit, otherwise you could have stepped out of the crowd and been the fourth official. What an odd situation, though.
Yeah, it was a bit bizarre. Sadly, the referees were wearing black. I'm not sure my green one would have furthered my cause too much. And I think, if we're being completely honest, if someone turns up with their own referee's shirt, I don't think you should be given any kind of power over the game of football, should you? Really?
It sounds like something Rodney might have done. Your old mate Rodney.
Rodders, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to Rodney for a long time, but not sure he's refereeing football matches. But yeah, it was odd. It's sort of a classic of the genre, watching a referee kind of hobble. I think it was a hamstring injury for him.
Yeah.
You're not fit to run the line. Chant the fans. Very funny. Love it. Takes ages to hobble back across the pitch, and then no one had a clue what was going on as he kind of disappeared down the tunnel. You get the classic announcement: "Is there anyone in the stands who's qualified referee?" And people put themselves forward for that, and then ultimately the fourth official ends up. She ends up as on the line, which is pretty standard. But then the bizarre thing is you ended up having almost like a dual fourth official role, where the hobbling linesman became kind of like the referee that between the two boxes, like keeping the managers apart and in their technical areas and all of that. But then they let this guy who had gone and put all the shorts and socks on and had his sort of bright coloured trainers on that they'd clearly plucked out of the crowd. He was allowed to do the like the substitutes board and the stoppage time board and stuff. He's got a dream gig there.
Living the dream. How do you reckon they check?
I don't know. We wondered this. Do you have? Is there a card like a badge?
Referees
ref.
club,
off-duty ref.
Otherwise, you could have had a few ales, couldn't you, and just fancy it?
Yeah. I've done all the badges.
Yeah, don't you worry. I'll sort this out.
I've got this.
Other than missing your chance in Hutchie to step up and be a ref in this game, give us something else you liked about Town. Let's talk about positives for a moment, shall we?
Another Rolls-Royce performance from Luke Wolfenden. Thought he was the best player on the pitch. Everything he does is just ice cold. He's playing fantastic football at the moment. Really good in the air. Won some good aerial duels. Which is certainly going to be something he's going to need to do at Rotherham next weekend. So you kind of see him take on Rotherham with a bit more confidence in him than maybe in other games that we've seen Luke play against Rotherham in the past. I thought he was near foot perfect for long spells of it. Very, very calm, good in the air, a proper all-round defender.
Okay, then. Anything else to mention about the game itself before we move on to matters afterwards and arising from? Rossi, you got something to say?
You were right, Hutchie. Shrewsbury is Colchester 2.0. I feel like we did a 4-hour journey for nothing. We could have just played a game at Colchester. But it was a nice little fan zone there, bit of a 90s rave going on. So yeah, end of season, dead rubber sort of games. Just enjoy the fan zone and get a burger and just watch a bit of football in Colchester 2.0.
I've got something.
Yeah.
Best pie of the season.
Wow. What?
Yep.
Talk to me. Tell me all about it.
Cottage pie. It was a
cottage. An individual.
An individual.
Ooh.
From the you get your little voucher on the back of the press pass. This entitles you to a pie and a drink. Cottage pie, please. And it was really, really nice. Nice creamy mash on the top with a nice crispy peaks on the mash. Yeah. Really nice succulent sort of steak and onion, bit of carrot in there. All wrapped in then a sort of a pastry dish.
Nice.
Yeah, best of the season. Beats Morecambe, which was very, very good. Morecambe get extra points for supplying you with some gravy to go with it. This would have been great with that, but if we're talking pure pie out of a little foil case, best pie of the season.
Do you get accompaniments with it? Are you getting some veg on the side, or is it just pie?
No, it's from the little kiosk, which I I like that. I'm not really into kind of press rooms, and I don't spend much time sat in press rooms. I always sit in my seat in the ground, and I've not really got as much as turning up at Villa Park and being presented with like a full sort of curry.
Yeah,
is amazing. It's not really what I'm after. I don't really want to be sat in a press room for very long. It's not my vibe. Cottage pie at my desk, please.
Was there a shepherd's pie alternative?
No, cottage or nothing.
Okay, fair enough. What's Rossi? Obviously, you're like a human dustbin. What would you agree that that's the best food of the season? And where's the worst food you've had this season? Name and shame, because I know the KOA Army would want you to.
I actually didn't take up my offer of the pie. I just didn't get around to it, and I regretted it straight away when I was seeing Hutchie eat his. I've got a picture of Hutchie. I won't.
You have got a picture. Thank you very much for that.
I have got it ready to load, but I think I'm gonna not.
No, put it up. Come on. Fine. We've all eaten.
What's nothing wrong with that? Surreptitiously eating a pie while watching the game.
Pre-match.
That's pre-match, is it? Watson was disgusted by something there. Anyway, nice.
But yeah, so I wasn't able to test if it's the best pie of the season. I was a bit disappointed with Morecambe, to be fair. Morecambe was a bit disappointing. But yeah,
was Morecambe the sports pie? Was that the one that had won all the awards?
Apparently.
I thought it was really good. Do you not like it?
Right.
You turned down the gravy option though, didn't you? And the peas. That's where you went wrong.
Oh, you got to take the gravy, man. Come on.
Always take gravy. Where's the worst, boys? Peek behind the curtains time. Where's the worst food you've had this season?
Well, some grounds that don't offer any food, so
what?
They're downgrading straight away. Worst food.
I don't have a problem with not being fed necessarily, but it would be quite nice to just have a glass of water. and I can't honestly remember off the top of my head, but there have been some this year where even kind of a glass of water has been impossible. So I can't think of a bad one.
Not a bad one.
The worst food. Sorry, mate. Carry on.
No, Carol. No, it's fine, mate. I was just gonna.
The worst food you're ever gonna get if you're given anything to eat. The worst it will be is kind of a pie from the kiosk, and I'm absolutely fine with that. So I'm not gonna criticize any club for offering any food because it's all a bonus to me. Just give me a glass of water, please.
Fair enough. Right then, let's move on then from pies to post game. Hutchie, you spoke to Sam Morsey after the game, and I was taken by one of his quotes, which was, "We are still so close, but still so far away," which kind of does sum up Town, doesn't it? In so many ways. Tell us a little bit about your chat with Sam.
Yeah, he always good value after a game. Sam Morsey, very intense. He's an intense guy. I think that's his approach to his job, his work, and to football, which is absolutely fine. That's how he plays the game as well. Intense. But I think he was very clear in what he wanted to say after the game, and as you've just said, that was kind of the takeaway from it. And I think he's well aware of how good his team can be, and that kind of adds up to really winning away at Shrewsbury, in his opinion, and they didn't. But he was also saying that they're going to work kind of every day of what is left of this season throughout their summers, in pre-season and next season, to make sure that this time next year they're where they want to be. And I believe him. I think he'll demand that from people. You see it on the pitch in games that he's particularly during the second half of this season, where I think he's sort of clicked into a different gear after Christmas and following McKenna's appointment, both in terms of his on-field play and his leadership of this squad. I think he's really got his teeth into being the captain of Ipswich Town in the last 4 months. And I think if everybody had that kind of attitude to what they do from this point, they'll be in a much better place next year.
There's a couple of things I want to put to you that other people have written, Hutchie. And being as we're talking about more, so I might as well do this one now. Terry Hunt former editor of the Anglian and Star and long time Ipswich Town fan, wrote in his column that he doesn't think, other than Sam Morsey, there are any leaders in the team. Is that something you'd agree with? Clearly, Morsey is a dominant captain figure, and we've had that before with Luke Chambers and kind of strong leadership from the captains. But it's often said you need multiple captains across the pitch. Do you think there are leaders other than Morsey in the side?
They're very yes, I do actually.
Yeah.
In their own different way to Morsey. There's different ways to lead, isn't there? Sam's is very sort of visible. Is I guess maybe what you might call kind of classic leadership. But I'd chuck a few people in that kind of mix. Actually, I would put Connor Chaplin in that in his own way. I would put. In their own way, I would put people like James Norwood and even Macaulay Bonne in that way when they're playing well. They kind of lead in their own way. Wes Burns is another one I'd probably put in that.
So this is kind of leading by example, sort of leadership.
But not just that. Not just that. Connor Chaplin, I think, is. I think you can see from kind of the off-pitch roles that the club have given Connor Chaplin in terms of he's a trustee of the club's community trust. Like that requires a level of kind of leadership, doesn't it? You're not just picking anyone out of anyone who puts their hand up to do it out of a squad. I think you pick someone who you feel can lead and demonstrate. And I don't think you do have to have a team of leaders. Maybe I think George Edmondson is growing into being a leader as well. He's a young man who's not been given sort of that. He's not had that role previously. Like he was obviously at Rangers and he was on the fringes of things at Rangers. He's not going to be a leader there. But I would describe George as someone who could be a real leader. I think Christian Walton is a leader amongst the defence in terms of. I think he's a good communicator. I think he leads by, again, probably by example, but in the way that he is able to sort of dominate his penalty area and make it safe. So I would actually, while I would accept that there aren't sort of 5 or 6 Sam Morsey type figures in this side, I would disagree with it lacking leadership. I would quite strongly, actually. I think there are certain areas of the team where you can't have 11 leaders, otherwise you're going to be into all kinds of trouble. But I think I'd probably disagree with that, actually.
Fair play. There's definitely something there with Walton, isn't there? This kind of calm, authoritative figure at the back, which is great. Rossi, I want to put something else to you. Being as it kind of featured on game day, Stewie in his observations from the game said that Town, in his opinion, spend too much time trying to score the perfect goal. A bit like the old IT Crowd episode, one of the best comedy episodes of all time, Are We Not Men? Where there's the classic, probably with Arsenal, is always try and walk it in when what's his name? Moss is trying to be a man and fit in with men. And also on game day, I think it was Mike said, referencing the Shrewsbury goal, why don't we score goals like that? Why don't we take shots like that? So is there something in that? If Town clearly play very nice football, little diagonals and triangles and lovely little passing movements, and the goal they scored was nice, but given that Town are struggling to score goals, are they guilty of maybe of not having the odd pot shot? Are they trying to score the perfect goal too much?
Before I get into that, I want to give a shout out to Mike, because we bumped into him in the services on the way back to Shrewsbury. He was having a cheeky KFC. Other restaurants are available, of course. It's always good to see Mike. I think that puts a big smile on our faces if we bump into him anywhere. But no, I think he is right, because we haven't scored many screamers, have we, this year? And that was just, Dominic Thompson. I think he won the ball, headed it, but headed it into Wally, and then what an absolute belter of a goal that was. A goal out of nothing. And I don't think we score goals out of nothing, really. And I do feel like there's times where I'm like, why aren't you taking a shot there? You just keep walking it in. We're getting good positions. We're getting, the final third row well. But then we just don't do anything with it. We then just lose the ball, and then there we go. That chance is gone. Which is a shame, because we play some great football, but then I feel like we're not going anywhere with it. And I just want to see someone just take a shot. If they feel like it's an opportunity, just go for it. Don't just like go sideways or go out and try to see if we can cross the ball and then cross it in. Just go for a shot if you can. Don't, just do out, don't just do a pointless shot if you haven't got a shot on you. But there's just a few players I just wish would just take a chance and just take a shot and test the goalkeeper a little bit, because I just feel like we don't test the goalkeepers enough.
They've got players that can do it.
Yeah.
Like the last 3 Ipswich goals have all been the one that we're talking about here, kind of a right. I think I'm right in saying all 3 of the last 3 have been like a right-sided cross pulled back into the box and put in one way or another. But they have got players who can score those goals. Like Bersant Salina is the obvious one. He's probably the only player in the team that would have tried what Sean Wally did. But Connor Chaplin scored some goals out of nothing from kind of balls that break down on the edge of the box. Wes Burns went through a spell of scoring a lot of goals by taking up kind of a position to the right of the penalty area and ramming it home with power. So I don't know, for whatever reason, they're not getting in those positions to do that. They are capable of scoring goals like that. Tariq Backingson started shooting a little bit. But yeah, for whatever reason, the last month or so, it does feel like there's an attempt to kind of, it's either one way or nothing. We spoke last week, didn't we, about if you stop Town's right side, you can kind of stop them in their tracks, and I guess that the way that they've scored their goals of late kind of speaks to that, doesn't it?
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Michael Jordan told us that, and he took a lot of shots. So maybe a lesson there for Town. Right then, friends, let's draw a line on the Shrewsbury, shall we? And let's move on. Ipswich Town, I'm afraid, friends, the season, as Roscoe said back in December, is dead. There's a proverbial dodo. Have you messaged Morsey back, by the way, Rossi, and said, told you so? Apologise, please.
Don't think that's probably the right thing to do, to be honest. I think that will kill any relationship between the captain of the football club and us, maybe.
I maintain that it wasn't dead in December, though. As much as you of course, you've ended up being right here. I don't think we can talk about January, February, and March as being dead for Ipswich. There's been some life in the season, hasn't there?
Yeah, I think so. It was more just like I felt, bloody hell, here you go, Town again. Another League One season where we're gonna finish 9th, and I think at that point I just put out there that season's dead. But of course, I had a little bit of hope in there. It's like, realistically, Ross, there's a lot of games still to be played for. New manager come in, players will come back, but no, the season is dead now. So there we go.
I love that little insight into that you're kind of in a monologue. Realistically, Ross, there's lots of games left to play. Come on, mate. No, the season's dead. Anyway, you proved to be right, Rostradamus, as we once called you, because of your knack for predicting results.
It's a long game.
It's a long game, exactly.
Do you want to know what percentage chance they have got of making the playoffs with 4 wins from here?
Yeah, can I guess?
Yeah, have a guess.
0.5.
No, much more than that.
Really? 5?
8 times more than that. 4%.
4%.
4
so
wins.
So there's 12 points left to play for. They're 8 points off.
Yep.
And there's
if
a 4%
they get all of
chance.
them, if they win all 4, there's a 4% chance of finishing 6th.
Wow. So you're saying there is a chance?
Yeah, there is a chance. It's very, very slim though.
Very, very slim chance. Anyway, what I wanted to do, friends, is because obviously now there's a danger, and it started to feel like that at the weekend. We talked about it, the end of term dead rubber kind of feel. Let's give the KOA Army some things to look for in these last 4 games, some things to cling on to. Hutchie, I'm going to come to you first of all. What can we give people to cling on to and look for in any of these final 4 games?
I just want to see them. I want to see them go for every game. I want to see them on the front foot. I want to see them playing the way they want to play next season, and I want to see them trying to win. That's what I want to see. I want to see them go to Rotherham and give them Rotherham completely schooled Ipswich. I think it was October when they played. They played at Portman Road, and they had Ipswich at arm's length for the whole game. Go and show us at Rotherham actually that things have changed a little bit. That I know Rotherham are faltering at the moment, but they are kind of a League One blueprint of how to do this. They're up and down. They come down. They're immediately favourites to go back up again, and they're right in the mix. They're having a tough time at the moment, which means maybe they're there for the taking, more so than they might have been in previous games. But go on, Ipswich, go there and show us that things have changed since October. Give them a really, really good game and show that you can be that kind of team. Same with Wigan. Wigan are going to go up as champions. Give them a really, really good game at Portman Road. I'll always remember going back to, I think it was probably 2003, Ipswich played Portsmouth at Portman Road, and Portsmouth were going up as champions. Ipswich were desperately trying to reach the top 6. They didn't in the end. They were closer than they were now. But Ipswich beat them 3-0. They schooled them. Pablo Cunyago, I can remember, scored one really, really good goal where he twisted and turned as only he could and lashed it into the roof. And they had a massive crowd at Portman Road, really sunny afternoon. And they won 3-0 and beat the champions. And that kind of gave you a feeling that, you know what, this team's going somewhere. So I want to see that. I know Wigan's on a Tuesday night now. There'll be no sunny afternoon, but go there and do that in those 2 games. Show us what you're made of.
Yeah, in terms of building momentum, they can't be much better than opportunities than that, can they? In terms of beating especially Wigan, the champions elect, put them to the sword, show what you're truly capable of. Rossi, what are you looking for over the last 4 games, other than obviously good performances and wins? Is there anything specific we can say?
2 things.
Yeah.
Of course, killing games off if we are 1-0 up and get the second goal. Of course, it'll be a different story against Rotherham and Wigan. If we do get in that position, then try to do that. And of course, the typical thing, score from a set piece, or at least create a good set piece play, because that was a running joke on the weekend to chant, we're going to score from a corner, the fans chanted. So just at some point, just score a corner.
What is the problem with the set pieces? Why can't, I mean, it's a fairly basic part of football, set pieces, and it's something you can work on at the training ground. So why aren't we seeing Town posing any threat at all?
We're just not beating the first man most of the time.
Yeah, I think it. I don't know how good. I don't. Obviously, like you look at Donacien and Wolfenden, they don't have a track record of scoring bucket loads of goals from set pieces. You'd think that Burgess could do that, and you would hope that Edmondson could too, but I don't think they've got the delivery right. I think Ross is right. Just you don't really know, and it's puzzling really. Clearly, my ability to take a corner at professional football level isn't going to be great, but these footballers are incredibly talented.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why can't Bursan Salina take a brilliant corner? Don't know the answer to that question.
You think, the whole thing about McKenna, no stone left unturned, marginal gains, all that sort of stuff. You'd think they'd be all over that on the training ground. Maybe they are, and it just doesn't come off in match day scenarios. Hutchie, we've talked about players over the last few games that we might like to see. Tariq Backingson is someone you've mentioned a few times on here, wanting to have a good look at him. And it sounds to me like he played well again at the weekend. Are you leaning now towards keeping Tariq for another season? Yeah. Yeah,
I am. I think I've made it. I think I've made it to that point. I'd still be quite happy with Ipswich going into the start, assuming they're playing this system going into the next season with Morsey and Evans as the 2.
Yeah.
But I think I've seen enough from Backingson. I think with the right management and coaching and the right focus, which he seems to be getting here, as a midfield option, I think he could be a good one. Where that leaves Raheem Harper, I don't know, because they're quite similar in their games. But yeah, I've quite enjoyed Backinson's how he's grown into it. And I think alone a full-time move here could be good for him.
Are there any other players over the last few games that you're yet to make a decision on? Hutchie, we'll do the big out of contract loan player discussion at some point podcast like we did last season, the old thumbs up, thumbs down, all that sort of stuff. But are there any other players that you're thinking have an opportunity to change your mind in the last 4 games?
Well, I've seen a lot of the other ones play football for a number of years now, and I kind of know my thoughts on a lot of them. If I'm honest, probably the only one would be Dominic Thompson, who I quite like as a left back, but in this system, Ipswich need a bit more, and I'm not sure about him just yet. But no, I'll be honest, I'm not kind of watching these games with players kind of desperately looking for something from them, if that makes it not. This makes it sound like it's my decision. Just to be clear, it's not.
No.
I don't. Just to be very, very clear, we don't have a say in this. But
we don't.
But yeah,
we don't get consulted. Otherwise, any player over the age of 30 would be straight out of the club. No chance of Aluko getting another deal from Rossi. Rossi, one of the things we might see, and I'll ask your opinion on this, given now that Burgess is going to miss the game at Rotherham, Edmondson is still injured, as far as we're aware. I can't imagine he's going to suddenly reappear. One of the things we might see then is a potential for Elkan Baggott to play at Rotherham, which is a big game to throw a young man into. Is that something you do, or would you? The other obvious thing they could do is put Thompson back there and have Penny ahead of him. How would you approach that?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, really, because Baggott has been travelling with the squad the last few weeks. He did a massive, warm up, prior to the Shrewsbury game. But it is a big game against Rotherham. Where do you chuck him in for his league debut? Because he's not made his league debut, as he played the Papa John Trophy game or whatever. I think go for it. There's no one really else. You could probably maybe put Backingson back there. He has played centre back before. Dominic Thompson probably not for me at centre back, to be honest. He hasn't got the height for it, has he? I thought Penny had a decent game, actually. I sort of don't think he's that great, but I think he had an okay game on Saturday. But yeah, I would just give him a chance. Got nothing to lose. I'll try my best not to call him Baguette, because that's what I've said a few times. So Baggott is his name. But yeah, give him a try.
Hutchie, we've spoken about this. You said you wouldn't be one for too much experimenting. Kieran McKenna said basically the same thing in the presser, but now they're in a situation where realistically they could do that. That is an option for them to put Baggott in for this game. How would you approach that?
Yeah, this wouldn't be experimenting. He's the next man up in centre half terms. So if you're Kieran McKenna and you've been impressed with him enough to kind of put him on benches, I'd say probably go for it. Thompson, I think Thompson could play that role as well, but I'd probably just go. Why not give him a game? He actually plays in the middle of the back three in the under-23s. He plays the Wolfenden role rather than the Burgess sort of left-sided role, but he is left-footed, and that might be a way of sort of getting him into the side. So why not?
Yeah, he's not gone on international duty, has he? Because they need him as cover. So it would seem that if you're going to,
I think that's a big thing for him. Obviously, Indonesia is really important to him. Of course, it is in international football, but I think he's missed out on games earlier in seasons by international breaks. They time the Papa John's Trophy right clearly to be played in international breaks because it gives clubs fixtures. And those clubs generally don't have players away on international duty, but he's been with Indonesia, which is absolutely fine. He wants to play international football, of course he does, but I think he's missed out on town games that he might have got a game in as a result. And we've seen it with Selena this season, kind of not taking international call-ups in order to sort of prioritise club football. And at some point, I think he might need to make that decision himself for certainly for kind of youth Indonesia games that actually breaking through at Ipswich maybe needs to be the top priority. But for everything I've seen, I saw him play for the 23s on Tuesday, and he looked fine. He looked calm, composed. Had some moments where he kind of dug the team out of trouble. He moves well, so why not?
Could be interesting, isn't it, in the summer? Because you've got Baggott, who's been in and around the first team, playing very well for the under-23s, and also, of course, you've got Corey and Darber coming back, who's by all accounts been doing really well at Salford, and then you've got already this established blue wall kind of back line, and an embarrassment of riches at the back, Hutchie.
Yeah, I'm kind of half. This is news for you, Mark. I'm currently halfway through writing something about Corey and Darber. This is one of our planning meetings, which we probably should have had before.
Let's do it on air
before this. But yeah, I've kind of started writing something about Darber this morning about his town sort of journey and how he's got to this point where he'll come back. He'll had a good season at Salford. He might even have got them promoted by this point. They're right in the mix because of a 13-game unbeaten run. But he'll be coming back this will be his 4th summer trying to crack the Ipswich Town first team. He's still not made a league appearance for the club,
Wow.
which is remarkable. He's probably coming back in the most difficult summer to crack the first team, given the spending power of the club and things like that. But he's also going to come back the best equipped he's ever been to make that jump. So he's those two, the two of them, make me think that you don't need to do anything else in terms of centre backs. You've got 4 that you're happy with. Burgess, Edmondson, Dynasty and Wolfenden, obviously, and then these 2. The only thing is that you've then got 3 left-footed centre-backs, which is a lot. But I think for one of Ndaba and Baggett, possibly even both of them, there's a real chance here. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what they can both do over the summer and Baggett in the next couple of weeks, potentially.
And just by way of rounding off this chat, Rossi, Macaulay Bonne, your boy, not scored a goal in 17 years or whatever it is. Norwood started the last, 3 games he started now? How do you feel about Macaulay Bonne and Town? Clearly, at one point, it looked like a no-brainer. They would try and bring him here permanently. Is there anything that he can do over these last few games that would change your mind? Has your mind already been made up? How do you feel about him?
Oh, wow. He couldn't really do much when he came off the bench for this game. I think he played the final 7 minutes or so, plus added time. So he can't really do much in a game where I felt that was it, really. The game was sort of dead and done, really. It was 1-1. I think no either side really didn't take the game to each other. I think a lot of Town fans, would love the story of him actually then signing permanently. I think there's some fans who would still like that because of the story and him signing permanently, and hopefully he can be one of our main strikers next season. But I think a lot of Town fans also now getting to a point where maybe he's not actually that good enough. Maybe it's just that amazing start he had was just the dream come true. Boyhood, fan of the club, Chantry boy, amazing start. Of course, at that point we were just scoring loads of goals, of course, conceding goals and dropping points. That sort of masked it a little bit is because he was scoring goals, but also we were dropping points and not doing that well in the league. But the last 20 games or so under McKenna, he scored 1 goal. Was it the Gillingham game?
Gillingham,
But then a lot of our players, haven't been scoring goals. So really, you can't really blame Macaulay too much because we've scored 17 goals, I think, in 17 games last couple of games. We scored 4 against Gillingham, and then we haven't scored many at all. But I'm very much in the camp where wait and see, but he's got to do a lot in the next 5 games to really prove that he can be the man to score us goals. But I think the forward line is going to be completely changed in the summer. I feel, but yeah, it's just a shame how it sort of turned out for Macaulay the last few games because he's not done very well.
We'll do, like I say, we'll do a proper pod themed around what to do in the off season and what we do with the players, loans, out of contracts, all that sort of stuff at some point. Anything else to mention, Hutchie, in terms of this last 4 games that you?
No, not really. My to-do list is quite simple. Just get on the pitch and impress. It's not too much nuance there.
Just win, baby. The old Al Davis saying. Right then, one more thing to discuss on this week's pod, and that, unfortunately, Rossi, is another Ipswich Town team failing to go up. I'm right, aren't I? It sounds to me like the Ipswich Town ladies, having looked so promising this season, all those games in hand that Southampton have come back to bite them. And yesterday they got a point, but it looks again like the women's season's over as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately. It's never say never at the moment, but realistically, Southampton are not going to drop points against the team they're going to play. So, unfortunately, basically last weekend was the same as the men's, really. Both teams, their season was pretty much over. A chance to get in the playoffs, a chance to win the league was pretty much over. And this weekend, unfortunately, put the final nail in the coffin, really. Playing against a team, Chichester and Selsey, who actually are now relegated from Tier 3. and they took the lead surprisingly, and then from there, just like the men, we're not clinical enough. We didn't take our chances. It was just a very bad afternoon at the Gold Star, which is very rare because normally when I come on the podcast, I go, yeah, another win, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But unfortunately, the last few games has been a bit disappointing, and this team hasn't been in this position forever really, because they're used to winning, they're used to dominating games. They dominated this game, but just weren't good enough to get all 3 points, and it's a disappointing end to a fantastic season. But a lot of positives because their first season in Tier 3, they will finish in the top 3, and they had that amazing cup run. So they're proud of their achievements, but a disappointing end to a good season.
Yeah, so it looks like they're going to finish second, doesn't it? But in the league, there's no kind of playoff system. It's literally just the team that win the league then play off against the team in the northern section, isn't it?
Yeah.
And whoever wins that gets promoted. Is that how it works?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a rubbish system, really, but it's just how it sort of fell together, really. Hopefully, in the long run, they'll change that. But yeah, you can win the title, celebrations, and then, got to play the northern section, and then you can lose that game, and then, got to do the whole season again next year and try to win the title again. And then, yeah, it's a rubbish system, and hopefully it gets changed.
Yeah, but a lot of, like you say, a lot to be positive about. I assume there'll be a Track to Girls talk, will there? This week, have you got any confirmed guests at this stage other than Blue, obviously, your co-host?
Yeah, just Blue at the moment. I think we have got someone down, but I won't say it just in case it. You know what
Not
happens
confirmed.
with guests sometimes. But Blue jokingly said to me, "I'm off this week. Don't want to talk about that rubbish." Yeah, it will be a good podcast because it would be a chance for us to maybe go in a bit deep in terms of like what went wrong in the last few games and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, tune in if you fancy it.
Okay, we're coming up to an hour now, chaps, which is always a good time for a podcast. Is there anything else you want to mention, Hutchie? Yeah, how do we get on with the £1 million picks? What's the state of play with the pot?
I
can't remember what the bet was now.
I can't remember, mate. Can't remember.
You don't care, do you, anymore?
No. I've had my pot sullied by Watson too many times, and it's become a farce. Just stick it all on Ukraine to win Eurovision, and we'll see where we're at.
That is as close to a sure thing as you can get, I'd imagine.
It's even money. It was anyway.
Is it?
It was.
So
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It was.
Fantastic.
It definitely was. I haven't checked for a while, but if you are a gambler, and you shouldn't be, then
as this feature's proved.
Yeah, absolutely not. What a joke.
Yeah.
That was quite good odds on that, to be fair.
Anything else to mention, Rossi?
Just happy birthday to good old Matty Holland, who turned Suffolk today. I think he's in his 40s now, but he doesn't look 40, does he? He still looks like he did in his prime.
Mate, he's nearly 50. He's 48.
Is he? 48?
Yeah. What a player. Love watching Matt Holland.
He looks like he can still do a job, though, doesn't he? He really does. The lad keeps himself in shape. I'm not sure if I've ever mentioned on here, but there was once, going back a few years, when I made this observation in conference about his youthfulness and lack of aging, that a suggestion was that we call him up and ask him if he was a vampire. That was
make that call.
I did not make that call.
No,
I definitely did not make that call.
I don't think he is a vampire.
No, I mean that would be. Don't get me wrong. That would be quite an exclusive if he did.
Be great. Best story of your career. Actually, Mark, interesting that you've asked. Nobody's asked me this over my 20-year football career, but yeah.
I am actually
play at night. No,
I am actually 750. And I don't get too close to me with that lovely smelling neck. Anyway, that seems a good place to end this week, friends. Remember to support our sponsors, Manscaped. Use the code KOA at manscaped.com for 20% off and free delivery on all that excellent cover on that site. There's lots of good stuff on there. Get yourself stuck in, and also support us in terms of social media. Follow us across all social media. Kings of Anglia on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. That helps other people discover us in the charts, which is great. Friends, no midweek games to look forward to. Only 4 games left, but hopefully we've had the chat there. There are some things still to enjoy and look into in these last 4 games. Have a great start to the week, and we'll be back later this week to discuss more Ipswich Town content. Have a good one. Cheers. Bye.